Welcome, one and all, to the prologue of Campaign 8 Revived Rites. I am your host, as usual, VIII. Yes, it's been a while since we've done an AI-only campaign, hasn't it? So, in that time span of being absent, I have had my own things to do. Been busy with real life over the winter, had an unpaid internship, and now that all of that is over, we have dialed ourselves in, we have focused in on this next AI only campaign, Revived Rites, where the theme is on religions that are not on the base map of EU4. Excuse me one second. So religions that are not on the base map of EU4. So the base map of EU4 has stuff like Catholicism, Sunni, Shiite, Ibadi, fetishist, Nahuatl, totemism. If you picked any religion from the base EU4 map, your point limit was 250. If you picked a religion that was not on the vanilla 1444 map, your point limit was 300. So we had a mix of both going on. And also, by the way, if you do see some provinces that are not renamed yet, I'm going to be doing that between the prologue and part 1 when things actually kick off. So don't worry if you don't see your provinces renamed that you wanted it to. I'm gonna get to it. Don't worry. Anyways, so with the prologue, I usually just go over a general like skimming of the nations in question per player and what they chose to do, how their position might generally be, and I go over 2 national ideas if they wrote localization, or 3 national ideas if they did not write localization. I don't want to spend all day on this or all night, so I like to keep it moving a little bit. I have my list of submissions on my left monitor, so let's just get to it without further ado. And I might split this prologue up into part 1, part 2, depends on how long this takes. I probably will, so bear with me. So on the submission list, I'm the first one, so we'll go through my submissions first. My first one is the Scorpion Cell. This is based off of Command & Conquer Generals 0 Hour. This is led by Rodal Juziz. This is the Demolition General. We have Spy Network plus 30% in the traditions and core creation cost minus 15%. The first national idea is demolition traps. Normal GLA strategies entail using demolition traps whenever and wherever necessary, but why limit how much potential a demo trap can have? Rig it with more explosives for a bigger explosion and more dead enemies. And that gives defensiveness plus 15%. The second national idea is extensive arms deals. Deals with shady and less than reputable merchants and officials is nothing new to the GLA. Our interests are mutually aligned, so it only makes sense that we continued the flow of machinery capable of keeping the GLA going strong. Land maintenance minus 15%. Generally, from the test runs at least, the Scorpion Cell would usually get slapped down by Hircania early on, so I chose to move them down closer to Balochistan. However, the Scorpion Cell is landlocked, so we'll see how that goes. The next submission is the Cobra Cell, led by Qassam Banu Shahal. This is basically Prince Qassad, the stealth general. It has Spy Network and the traditions, Spy Network plus 30%, and hostile core creation cost on us plus 60%. The first national idea is stealth and mobility. Through effective usage of stealth tactics and training in the art of underhanded strategies, our forces will move swiftly through any land they find themselves in. Movement speed plus 10%. And then the second national idea is the same thing as before for the Demolition General, extensive arms deals, with land maintenance minus 15%. I totally forgot to at least start putting on the music. Here, we'll do one world. There we go. But the Stealth General is more about movement and reinforcing and basically being a thorn in the side of people, whereas the Scorpion Cell is more about pure conquest. And the third one for me is Leon Galicia, a fusion of the historical kingdoms of Leon and the Kingdom of Galicia. And the traditions, it's plus 15% land force limit and plus 15% defensiveness. And then the first national idea is composite state. The diverging fates of the Iberian states was almost a reality, yet Leon and Galicia have gravitated toward each other once more, and this time there is an understanding from both sides to stay unified no matter what. Monthly war exhaustion, minus 0.05. Let me turn this up just a little bit. And then the second national idea is not needed, not wanted. The court of Leon Galicia has traditionally been crowded with clergy and advisors that bicker over some of the most meaningless things. We must excise at least some of these useless courtiers and narrow down our scope of advisors to only the best. All estate influence minus 10%. Excuse me. This is going to be a lot of talking for me, so bear with me, please. So, Leon Galicia is... This was just a random thought of mine, so I just rolled with it when I was making it. And I like how it came out, though I don't know how it's going to do against Bedgarak or Aelcorks. We'll see. I'm not entirely sure. Let's see. My next submission is the Silver Horde. This is based off of a completely... Back when I was playing EU4 years and years ago. I did just a fun campaign on my own with some console commands, and I was playing as the Golden Horde. And I didn't know much about the Golden Horde at the time, so I thought, okay, it's named after gold. I don't know what else would be another sub-state of the Golden Horde, so hey, you know what would be kind of cool next to it? Silver. And you know what else is up there that's pretty cool, but it's in third place? It's bronze. So... Silver Horde, Bronze Horde. I remember from the map, I did the Silver Horde around this region, and the Bronze Horde took up like most of Iran, while the Golden Horde was just huge. So that's where these ideas came from. It's just a shame that some infotainment YouTuber tried to use my map that was completely fictional as a map for how big the Golden Horde was. Anyways. In the traditions, we have plus 45% cavalry to infantry ratio, and then power projection from insults plus 100%. First national idea is from the Golden Horde onward. The Golden Horde once swept through the land, giving rise to a new age of Mongol conquests. Being a child of the Golden Horde, we too will set about on a path of glorious conquest. Core creation cost minus 20%. The few elites left. Being cut off from the main source of our power that was back east, we of the Silver Horde have had to manage with a narrow number of elite families. They have proven to be both disciplined and cooperative with each other, so that the Silver Horde survives. Yearly army tradition decay, minus 1%. So really, this entire... It's scattered. It's the religious map. It's really isolated. It's Ibadi and a sea of Christians and all that, but maybe the Silver Horde will turn things around from how they were during the second test run, because in the second test run they got stomped. My next submission was the Bronze Horde. They get minus 0.05 monthly autonomy, and then plus 100% power projection from insults. And then the first national idea is traditional combat practice. The Bronze Horde is closer to the former center of Golden Horde power, thus traditions that stemmed from the Golden Horde are stronger within our land. One such tradition is that of consistent military practice to ensure we are prepared for times of war. Army drill gain modifier plus 25%. The next national idea is fires of clerical debates. A key facet of the Bronze Horde was to move forth Islamic theology through open debate and discussion amongst various sects. Sometimes this needs to be coerced, but through heated debate, our politics have begun to mature, have they not? This gives reform, progress, growth, plus 15%. This is, again, it's like the Silver Horde, it's very military focused, but it's a little bit of a different sort of military focus in Iran compared to in Europe, and they're nowhere near as isolated. So we'll see. And my last submission is again from the Command & Conquer General series. It was cut content from Generals 2. It was based on one of the GLA leaders called Muerta. So I was like, okay, let's just run with this idea and try and make something out of it. Traditions is Spy Network plus 30%, and hostile core creation cost on us plus 60%. The first national idea is down but never out. Taking after the GLA's tactics and strategies is not easy, but through bloodshed and hardships, we are learning how to incorporate such undying courage and tenacity into our own soldiers. Morale damage received, minus 5%. The second national idea is from open war to insurgency. To kill a soldier and an army, that is easy enough, but to kill a philosophy, to kill an ideology, that is much harder to do, especially when that ideology is spread to every farmer, weaver, brewer, and merchant across the land. That's attrition for enemies plus 2. So if anyone really tries to invade, they're going to be taking a lot of casualties. There's also some other economic and military-focused national ideas, but there's really no diplomatic stuff. So administration and military. And that's all of my submissions. So we will now go to the single submission from Yayoi. Yayoi normally submits a lot of things during these campaigns, but they are busy this time around, and so they were only able to submit one thing through me. They made a deal with me, and I completely understand their situation. They're very busy, so this is the only submission they were able to get through, and it is, again, Paradox, as Yayoi always likes to do each campaign. And this time, it's in Central America, and their traditions are economic, goods produced modifier plus 10%, and goods produced plus a flat 1. And then, the first national idea, they cannot build over their force limit. Their second national idea is national tax modifier plus 15%. And their third national idea is administrative technology minus 5%. So, they're really economic focused instead of militarily focused like Yayoi's submissions usually are. So it's going to be interesting how Paradox does when they encounter ones like Muerta and Calakmul, as well as Tikal, and maybe even the communist states. Who knows? Our next submissions come from Mackie, a regular in these campaigns, and one whose submissions I thoroughly enjoy. They're always in depth. Mackie and his friend group apparently their submissions are based off of a different server, and where they kind of come up with their own original ideas every season, and they progress through it and just have a bunch of fun with all the cultures and nations they make. So right here we have Roxolania. And their traditions is plus 20% cavalry combat ability, and then plus 30% cavalry to infantry ratio. The first national idea is the Maeotian Droughts. Our old homeland on the mouth of the Silis River was a land often struck with droughts, especially prevalent in the first centuries of the Roxolani migration to the area. But as a strong people, we prevailed and recovered from these calamities. Global monthly devastation, minus 0.05. Our second national idea is annual raids north. During antiquity, our main foes were the Slavic Veneti to our north, and whenever they were vulnerable, the Sarmatians sent their mounted raiders to bring desolation to the Slavic countryside before swiftly leaving with their treasures. Looting speed plus 20%. So, Roxolania, definitely bred from the steppe, bred for the steppe. They're ready to conquer and sweep through whatever. Maybe even the Serbian Rus, maybe even striking the Golden Horde. Our next submission from Mackie is, I struggle to pronounce this name, so I'm just gonna say the Nifk people. Being that they are our Siberian friends, the traditions of Nivk this time around are plus 15% trade efficiency, and then plus 30% institution spread in true faith provinces. The first national idea is when the lair froze over. The Nivk of the lair, Amur River, have been facing hard times. Life on the near Arctic lands along the mouth of this river has been getting harder and harder as the climate has cooled. Let this be a lesson of resilience to the Nivk people. Land attrition minus 30%. And the second national idea is development cost modifier minus 5%. It's titled Under Osmund's Guidance. At long last has the ice thawed on the Amur River, as the little ice age of the Nivk has ended. The fish that our people rely on for our livelihood are abundant, refilling our stores. I think that's supposed to be a name, but I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that. Bless Osmund for this miracle on our people. So they are not militarily focused outright. They're more, they're pretty much all around, because I do see these two national ideas at the end that really buff up their military. So it's nice to see that, they're going for an all-around approach, and I'm hoping for the best for them. The next one is Nyan Kalyani, centered in the heart of India. So, the first national idea is yearly army tradition plus 1, and then morale damage plus 7.5%. Some strong traditions. The first national idea is the League of Inverare. For too long, the clans of the Highlands have been divided. We must take all the Highland clans and join them as one alliance, where they have to contribute with one supreme military leader in charge. National manpower modifier plus 15%. The second national idea is Mandalas and Nadu. Our kingdom is divided into mandalas, each with the number of villages in the name, and these are divided into Nadu and Kampanas. Each mandala is under a member of our royal family, or other trusted officials, such as a feudatory. And this is state maintenance, minus 20%. So, strong military opening from Nyan Kalyani, and then it kind of tapers off into some economic and some administrative stuff, but it rounds back to military stuff at the end. So hopefully they're able to do well against Kingdom of St. Thomas, Gujarat, Orissa, and Etwa. And then I'm not sure where the idea of this came from, but maybe this was from the Ancient Culture server. So next we have another submission from Mackie. It is Temukwa. Alright. So Temukwa, natives to the Florida region. Their traditions are plus 20% domestic trade power, and then improve relations plus 15%. Excuse me. And the first national idea is regular warfare. The Temukwa were not a unified people, instead being split into up to 35 chiefdoms spanning multiple villages. These chiefdoms had skirmished with each other regularly in tribal wars, providing the warrior spirit to our people. Recover army morale speed plus 20%, so whenever they're defeated in battle, Temukwa's gonna come back hitting hard. And then, second national idea is white drink ceremony. Our chiefs have a council that meets every morning, where local problems are discussed. This ceremony is named after the purifying tea our males drink for rituals and hunts. Advisor cost minus 15%. So Temukwa, it starts off with some economic and some diplomatic stuff, and then it gets into a little bit of military stuff. But for the most part, Temukwa is focused on its internals, which is interesting to see. I'm not sure how it's going to do against a Mirjika, considering the first test run, a Mirjika won out, and then the second test run, Demukwa won out. So I'm not entirely sure. We'll see. The last submission from Maki is in the Tibetan Plateau. It is Horkhok. I don't know how to exactly pronounce that, but I think I pronounced it correctly. And this is our first modded submission. So these files were made by Maki. He submitted them to me. I've looked over them, verified, and you know what? They're all good. So put them into a mod manually, and it's here. So in the traditions, it has +2 tolerance of heathens, and then +10% shock damage. And the first national idea is descendants of Mongols. Many people in the Hor states include mention of their Mongolian heritage, and the upper tribe of the 39 Hor claim descent from Genghis Khan himself. The second national idea is Jagpa. While the term Jagpa normally means bandit, all of the Hor and even all of the Kampa are often referred to by this term. Raiding has become so normal in our society that the term Jaggab, meaning to rob, does not carry any negative connotations, unlike elsewhere. That's looting speed +25%. So Horkhok seems to be going sort of like hybrid Tibetan faith and then Mongol military prowess. So I'm not sure how it's going to work out, considering again, they have Tibetan lands and they're right next to other Tibetan provinces that are kind of hard to colonize, but they're also right next to like Chengdu and stuff. So depending on how Horkhok divides itself or spreads out, it could do really well or it could struggle to gain power. I'm looking forward to see how it does though. Seeing how it does though. The next submissions, or these next set of submissions, come from VIII. First up, we have Chang. Chang is supposedly a Sinicized Korean dynasty that is modeled to be after, like, or supposed to be the Emperor of China, but it's stationed in Korea. So the traditions are +15% for defense and then +10% land fire damage. Excuse me. And the first national idea is Claimant of the Mandate. We have proclaimed the Gojoseon emperors as the oh my goodness. Perfect. As the true emperors, mandated by heaven. Even as various dynasties have risen up and fallen, the Korean claim to the emperorship remains indisputable. Yearly legitimacy +1.5. The second national idea is to defy Shanghai. The planned cruelty the other Asian powers wish to do on our nation is too much. To lose Bukgyong to the Qi, the south to the Nakoku, and we become a mere vassal? We cannot stand for a mutilated Korea. We will fight until the end to preserve our freedom. Morale of armies +15%. So Chang is definitely geared up to be a serious power player in the region. They're going to have to contend with Nakoku, Yamatai, and then Yan, as well as maybe Min or Miao. But I'm looking forward to seeing how Chang does. If they can get further into their national ideas, they will. I think they will do very, very well. Next up, from VIII submissions, or not VIII, is Pengwern. Pengwern, the unfortunate middleman. So, Pengwern in the test runs was always kind of like squished between Sudreyar and the Kingdom of Wessex. So I'm hoping that Pengwern might be able to do something different this time around, but I'm not entirely sure. So Pengwern they got +20% production efficiency and +20% for defense in their traditions. Their first national idea is Cornovian Druids. Our union with the Ordovicius made us custodian of the holy island of Innsmon, and as Verocon grows in size, the most prestigious of the Druids congregate to tell the oral tales and history of our people, and of the many gods that inhabit Albion. Clergy loyalty equilibrium plus 15%. And the second national idea is defeating the Trinerth. When our three rivals, the Brigantes, the Corioltalvi, and the Domnoni, attacked us, it was up to Cadwallon II to win the day, and as a natural commander he brought us to hegemony. After the bloody battle of Brigantium, the three rivals were all subdued. Infantry combat ability plus 15%. So, if Penguin is able to survive against the Kingdom of Wessex and Sudreyar, seemingly they will do very well. They've got very powerful national ideas, but religiously, like, they're very isolated. So we'll see what happens. Hoping for the best, prepare for the worst. That's really all we can do. The next submission from VIII is Besançon. Besançon. So, Besançon. I'm gonna get some water first before I read these because I'm talking a lot, man. Shit. Alright, let's keep it going. The scented candle, it makes the entire room smell like. Is it like a bubblegum, like mouthwash or whatever? It smells good, but Jesus Christ, it's a very strong candle. Byzantine traditions, stability cost modifier minus 10%, and attrition for enemies plus 1. The first national idea is 2 Sieges of Freedom. Earning our status as a free imperial city was not an easy task. The Holy Roman Emperors and the Archdiocese alike controlled the city and both wanted to maintain it. However, by biding our time in Besançon's walls, we have secured our free city status. Fort defense plus 15%. Their second national idea is democratic spirit. Our government consists of 28 elected councillors, elected by the parishes, and 14 governors who ran Besançon day to day. Unlike other free cities, which devolved into oligarchy, Besançon remains free and democratically ruled by the people. Yearly Republican tradition plus 0.3. So, Besançon is not militarily inclined as others are. They're much more internally focused. They have some military national ideas here and there, but for the most part, Besançon kind of wants to keep to itself, make friends, not enemies. Next submission is the Saints Federation. I don't know what this is based off of. I was just told this was a scrapped submission from an earlier campaign, so alright, we'll see. So the Saints Federation, in the traditions, plus 1.5 yearly devotion, clergy loyalty equilibrium plus 20%. First national idea is a church for every town. We must ensure that every person blessed enough to be guided by God shall have a place where they can worship our Lord and Savior. Global possible number of buildings plus 1. And then second national idea is for God's glory. Our soldiers, servants of God, all fight for a divine cause, beyond mere politics or strategy. Our soldiers fight for Christianity and the Lord Himself. Morale damage received plus 7.5 or minus 7.5%. What kind of worries me for the Saints Federation is they don't have very many naval ideas. So they are strong internally, that clergy loyalty equilibrium, the number of buildings, and their military is not half bad with that morale damage received. But it's like the only naval advantage that they have is naval combat off own coasts, and I don't know if that's going to be enough. Yeah, it's because there might be more naval powers coming through. Demukwa could become a naval power, or Kalakmul / Tikal, or America. I'm not entirely sure. But I fear that the Saints Federation, their navy is not going to keep up. But I could be wrong. Anything can happen in these campaigns, and I'm purposefully not revealing the development map mode. Not yet. So going on from the Saints Federation, our next submitter is Masanori Akamatsu. And he has submitted Nakoku, one of the ancient cultures in Japan, one of the ancient states. The traditions of Nakoku are plus 15% production efficiency and own territory dice roll bonus +1. And the first national idea is agrarian tradition. The Yayoi period saw the introduction of rice agriculture to the Japanese archipelago. The new rice paddies allow us to have a much larger and more prosperous population than ever before. Development cost -10%. The second national idea is Celestial Emperor and Center of the World. With vast bounds of resources being made and discovered in Japan, Nakoku has recently emerged as the linchpin in East Asian trade. The Emperor, realizing this strong position, proclaims Nakoku as the center of the world. So seemingly Nakoku is early on, they're economically focused, and then later on is when they go on a little bit more of a external focus, because they get infantry combat ability, and they get naval combat off their own coast. I'm not sure if Nakoku is going to survive in the face of Yamatai. In the second test run, Yamatai overpowered them, but who knows? Nakoku could make an alliance, and they could hold out against Masanori Akamatsu's second submission, that is Yamatai. And note, they are not Shinto, they are Mahayana Buddhist. So, in the traditions of Yamatai, plus 22.5% naval force limit modifier and global prosperity growth plus 0.05. The first national idea is ending the Wakoku Tairan. Being the first real war in Japan, the Wakoku Tairan is a civil war between two claimants to the throne. However, one woman, Himiko, sees the strife in the country and wishes to end the Wakoku Tairan once and for all. Harsh treatment cost, -30%. The second national idea is Himiko's conquest. Throughout her reign, shamaness Queen Himiko turned Yamatai Koku from a state on the verge of collapse into a resurgent one, defeating the false emperor, defeating Shinano and the Emishi, pushing the northern frontier of Yamatai further into Tohoku. Morale of armies plus 15%. So Yamatai really is, throughout its national ideas, shaping up to be, or trying to shape itself to be the center of Japan. As, it owns Kyoto, it owns Yamato, so, it's like, feels like the center of Japan, And then they got some missionary strength to enforce their will. They got merchant trade power. I think Yamatai is gonna do pretty well, but I don't know. They might lose out. They might win it big. We shall see. Next up for Masanori's submissions is the slot machine. Oh boy, the slot machine. This is the only time you're gonna hear me say this. 01R1QYGMER40QJG. In the traditions of 01R1, we have land maintenance modifier -20% and discipline plus 5%. Some very strong traditions. The first national idea is religious unity plus 22.5%. The second national idea is institution embracement cost -40%. And the third national idea is construction cost -20%. So, despite 01R1 being a slot machine nation, it's got some pretty okay national ideas going for it. If they get off to a good start and no one stomps them out early, like in the 1400s or 1500s, 01R1 could be a serious contender for power. And they're unlike the last slot machine nation that was over in East Africa, or the Horn of Africa. There's no vanilla nation for it to contend with. It's pretty open to expand. So, we shall see how it does. And then another meme submission. The next submission from Masanori Akamatsu is me, Varenity Void. I don't know what you were expecting out of this, Akamatsu. I really don't. But you know what? I'll humor you. I'll read two of these because his is it's just me. It's just me. That's it. It's just me. Oh, I gotta remove the air, like you said. Kill air. But yeah. So the traditions of my traditions, as he put them, is goods produced modifier plus 15%, and then can recruit Rajputs. Thing is with the recruit Rajputs one is that it doesn't do anything if you don't have Rajput culture, I'm pretty sure. So sure, they'll be able to recruit them, but 0 out of 0. There's no Rajput culture. It's American culture. So yeah. So the first national idea is, national ideas extended. My pride and joy for my modding. The mod is intended to give unique national ideas to many nations throughout EU4 that seem to have only filler idea sets, or simply could use an actual set of unique national ideas based on the history surrounding the nation itself. Idea cost minus 10%. The second national idea is Formables Extended. Welcome to Formables Extended. This mod has been made to extend upon the variety of formable nations already in EU4, ranging from nations in the relatively recent past to uniting various people into one singular country and more. Allow claims bordering claims. I've never actually seen this one used. I'm not sure how well the AI may use it, but I mean, it's in the Americas, so I don't think it'll be that useful. So, yeah. These are all national ideas just based off of maybe what I've said in the server, or just personality fucking traits that he's noticed. I don't know. But yeah. This is his stuff. So yeah. I don't know whether to be thankful or to be embarrassed that he submitted this, but you know, whatever. We'll roll with it. I take meme submissions in these campaigns. I'm not mad. It's just a little weird seeing, like, yeah, there you are, Virinity. The next one is from the Maki Destroyer, otherwise known as Kosovo Serbia. I don't know how to fucking say it. Anyways, his first submission is the Serbian Rus. So, with the Serbian Rus, the traditions are plus 200% army tradition from battle. That's a lot of army tradition from battles. Holy shit. And then shock damage received minus 15%. The first national idea is the Southern Embargo. From the onset of our organization, the Sarmatian-led coalition has blocked us from mutual trade on account of our threats to them. As a result, our merchants are having a harder and harder time venturing outside Veneti lands. Therefore, they cannot send merchants. The second national idea is the Southern Bastions. The horsemen of the Sarmatians are our sworn enemies, as they have often taken to plundering our countryside every year. To ensure a protected south, we must always have our border fortresses ready for such attacks on Veneti land and people. Excuse me. Fort maintenance on border with rival minus 40%. I'm really not sure how that's going to work out, considering I've always interpreted that as a garbage idea. Just because, like, when are you going to have forts on the border of your rival? If it instead said fort maintenance on border with neighboring country or something like that. Okay, I can see it being a little bit more useful, but your rivals in particular, I don't know how useful that is. We'll see. It thematically, it fits. I enjoy that it fits like that, but practically, I'm not sure. But still, the Serbian Rus, if they get off to a good start, like their later national ideas, they'll do really well. I have a feeling they will do really well. But it's getting over that early game hump that I think they're gonna have trouble. They're gonna have trouble with. The next one is the Epirot Empire, and yes, I did remember to give them Cephalonia. The Epirot Empire. The traditions, minus 5% technology cost and plus 15% shock damage. And then, first national idea is minerals of the Pindus. Epirus's rugged and mountainous nature traditionally made it the peripheral of the Hellenic world, with a relatively poor economy. But with the discovery of multiple deposits of gold, marble, and copper deep in the Pindus Mountains, our economy shall thrive. Goods produced, modifier plus 15%. Second national idea is Oracle of Dodona. The Oracle of Dodona is the oldest Hellenic oracle, and its prestige is only outshined by Delphi. With Epirot influence only increasing in the Hellenic world, we should further beautify this site to function as our religious capital. Clergy loyalty equilibrium plus 15%. So, Epirus, or the Epirot Empire, shaping up to be a strong empire, I would say. Lots of really good national ideas to contribute toward it being just a really, really strong regional power. The next submission is the continuation of last campaign's Slave Coast Company. We remember the Slave Coast Company because, you know, it was it was right over here. It had a really strong regional presence in West Africa, selling slaves and all that. And then the hammer came down. The Slave Coast Company shrank and shrank some more until finally it was just on the coast. And then they made a great escape past the Horn, the Cape of Good Hope, past all the Indian Ocean, all the way to Southeast Asia, and finally landing in Rabaul. But they tried to set up shop in Rabaul. The natives fought back. And why did they fight back? Because there's fucking foreigners on their soil. And what happened? It just turned into pure anarchy. Pure anarchy. There were rebels for days. There was no legitimacy. There was no functioning government. The dynasty got overthrown. It wasn't even a trade company anymore. And you know what? It has turned into this. Last campaign, the Japanese showed up to Rabaul, and they didn't know what the fuck was going on. So, we have the Rabaul anarchy again. They are a stateless society. And so, hostile core creation cost on us plus 30%, and no stability loss on monarch death. The first national idea is freeing arms. In order for us to throw off the shackles of the final governor generals of the oppressive Slave Coast Company, we need to arm every civilian and slave of our island with a gun, and making them join the Rabaul militia. Only with arms can we free our people from slavery. National manpower plus 30%. Leaders of the emancipated. Our people have did it. They have broken the chains and became freed men. But every society needs a leader, and so among the free men of Rabaul, we decide our leader to guide us. For this, we have chosen Kubal Noritena. And I recall, Kubal Noritena was like the one leader who, out of the complete chaos, where no one knew what was going on. I'm gonna ask about the heir. I don't think they had an heir, but I'll ask the Mackie Destroyer about that. But regardless, like, if the Rabaul anarchy is able to expand freely, I think that their military will be just fine, but their navy may need some work. So, I wish the Rabal Anarchy the best of luck. Let's see. So that's the Rabal Anarchy. Now we have fucking the meme submission of America. Because there was a meme tweet by some idiot on Twitter called, I don't even remember what the Twitter handle was called, but it was basically fucking Christopher Kolumbosevich. And it's just, oh my god. And now we have this. Global settler increase plus 10 and morale damage received minus 5%. Those are the traditions. First national idea is, for us, Kosovo is a Serbian Jerusalem. Israel helped us in the 1990s war against terrorist fascist Ustashi, and we are grateful for it. They know that Kosovo is like Jerusalem, and we always support against fascists, right? Nazis could post at me and say I'm not. He just ripped tweets. This man, you just ripped tweets. But that's it. I can't believe you just. Maggie told me you ripped tweets. I didn't think you just control copy, control paste. I didn't think you did that. Jesus Christ. Alright. Christopher Kolumbosevich was a Serbian sailor, and the fact that he showed up on the Mayan coast and the Mayans recognized him proves that the Serbs were the first to colonize the Americas. Colonists +1. I cannot believe that this... I don't even know what to say. This man is unhinged. Just... his entire submission is unhinged. Anyways... Our next submission is the UKO, I believe. Let me just make sure. Let's see. Where is it at? Because I just want to make sure that it's correct. And who was the submission of? It was, yeah. So regular. Because if I get this wrong and I didn't accidentally put... yeah, okay, so... I think, yeah, okay, I think we're... Alright, yeah, we're just going for it. Because I didn't change the name of it in the Excel sheet, but I think this is the correct one. Yeah, because this is his modded submission. Okay. Anyways. So this is the United Kingdom of Oscarlunia, but I just call them the UKO. It's just easier that way. Really? Really? Fuck. Alright. The traditions of the UKO. Provincial trade power plus 10%. Infantry combat ability plus 10%. Solid stuff. And then the Bastion of the North. The East Sea, converted to Christianity in the early medieval period, has been... The East Sea, converted to Christianity in the early medieval period, has been isolated from his religious brethren by a sea of heathens. It is our job to protect and spread the word of Christ whenever we can. Missionary strength plus 1%. The Osterjon wedding. Jesus Christ. The two realms of Adevoria and Prussia have had close ties for centuries, stemming from their common Adevor heritage, Baltic interests, and forsaken Christian faith. These two became fast allies after the collapse of the Illyrian Order in Europe. This sense of brotherhood between Prussia and Svealand, later Adevoria, was only strengthened when Adevorian troops garrisoned Prussian cities, when Prussia's army was weak and in the service of Rome, and Adevorian troops quelled many rebellions in Prussian land. As such, It has been a tradition for the Prussians to send daughters to marry Adivorian princes, or vice versa. But now the bond between the two brothers on the Baltic only grows. Inspired by the Serbo-Bulgarian Commonwealth to the east, many of the Prussian nobility desired fusing their crown to the Adivor one to ensure a stable and prosperous realm dominating the Eastern Sea, finally ridding Prussia of its incompetent leadership. But today, on 1648, is the day. Unlike a mere marriage between royals only signifying an alliance, the marriage of 1648, also known as the Osterjan wedding, would be a direct marriage between Emperor Gustavus Adolphus of Adivoria and King John Sigismund of Prussia, directly between the two sovereigns of the two monarchs. Sovereigns from across Europe were invited once more to this wedding, alluding to the great homosexual affair between Adivorian and Illyrian emperors in antiquity, with every non-Sarmatian king, duke, or noble was invited to see the spectacle. And now, just like how I married Gustav of Adivoria myself, so shall these brothers in arms marry to form the United Kingdom of Osterjan, John Sigismund of Prussia. Max promoted cultures +1, diplomatic annexation cost minus 10%. I don't even know what to say to that. I really don't. Just, yeah, UKO. There you go. Basically, Sweden, Prussia. And in terms of their national ideas, they are pretty powerful, and I'm hoping that, you know, UKO can do better than how they did in the second test run. Because second test run, they got stomped by Horuleia and Hyperborea. So we'll see how it goes. For there, I think that's going to probably be the end of the first part, the first prologue. And I'll record the second part. That'll have everyone else's, because there's still a lot more to go through. And that'll be that. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching this first part of the prologue. I will see you in part 2 of the prologue, or if you don't care about the prologues, I'll see you in part 1. Jesus Christ, my throat hurts. Yeah. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you then.